What's poppin' T Squad? It's me, Keisha, and I'm here with tonight's All Tea All Shade, Raising Kanan, Season 1, Episode 2. So I have some behind the scenes tea. Raising Kanan has already been greenlit for a Season 2. It actually was greenlit before Episode 1 even aired, which is great. It's huge, great news. One of you guys in the comment section pointed out that in the Power series that when Kanan came home from jail, he mentioned that he was going to go see his mom. So I went on YouTube and found that episode, and you were indeed correct. So my prediction, because remember last week I made a prediction saying that I felt like Rock character was going to end up being killed season 3 or season 4, but one of you guys already like I said, pointed out that she's still alive. So forget that prediction. Let's start all over from scratch because I thought that the lady was dead. But anywho, so let's go on to tonight's episode. So Kanan is laying in bed looking at the glow in the dark stars. And that, my nigga, like it took me back to fourth grade. I had the same exact glow in the dark stars in my room. And I remember I was dating this dude when I was in high school. He was a freshman in college. I was a whore, whatever. And I used to sneak and go spend the night with him in his dorm room. And he used to have the glow in the dark stars all in his section where his room was, and his room was just so dope with all those glow in the dark stars. So that shit just took me all the way back. So Kanan is, like I said, in bed looking at the glow in the dark stars. The next morning he prepares for no, I'm sorry. So that morning he prepares for his first day back at school since the shooting. He's at the kitchen table eating breakfast, and Rock is worried about his safety, but he act like he don't care. He was like, I'm all good. Like he just acting like ain't shit gonna happen to me. I didn't just get shot at the other day, like it's all Gucci. So he grabs his things to get ready to go to school, and his mama stopped him, was like, eyes open, Kanan, at all times. My son ain't even in the game, and I tell him shit like that. You like you gotta have your eyes peeled the fuck open when you out here in these streets because these niggas out here ain't playing, and neither are these cops. So he leaves out, and he looking each way or whatever, trying to protect himself. Like he's a little bit more worried than what he portrayed to his mom. I guess for his mama, he trying to act like he tough, like he can handle it, but he really is low key worried. So he step outside and he looking around or whatever, and his boot ends up hitting one of the shells from a bullet. So he pick it up, and as he's picking it up, looking at it, a car coming out in the street, and a dude peeks his head out the window, and Rock is in the doorway looking out the window, and she sees the car coming down, so she immediately thinks it's somebody about to try to shoot at him again. So she come running outside and scream his name. He turn and he look, but low key it's not even somebody a hitter trying to kill him. It's just a dude throwing one of the yellow pages into their yard. And I was like, whew, ain't got to worry about that. But didn't it take you back seeing yellow pages? Oh my God, having to thumb through that shit to find somebody number or to find like a restaurant or a movie time. Like, oh my God, like time has really elevated since I've been alive on this earth. Like, wow. So, Rock was like, fuck that. You ain't catching the bus to school. I'm taking you to school this morning. So they get in the car. She running him to school, and she tells him that she's scared and that she needs him to be scared too because fear keeps you alive. So he was like, all right, bet. So at school, Kanan and his crew coming down the hallway, and everybody running because it's a fight going on. And come to find out, it's Davina fighting one of Buck's other hoes who was like, he never loved you anyway. That's why he was with me tonight before he died. So when that bitch said that shit, Davina socked her ass in the motherfucking face, baby, beat her ass. So Kanan is watching all of this go down, and you can tell like he low key felt bad because he knows that he's the source of part of her pain. So Davina and the other girl gets sent to the office, and jukebox makes a comment saying fighting over a dead nigga don't get no stupider than that. And I was like, harsh but facts. Like I fucks with you, jukebox. So Rock, Lou, and Marvin are at the diner eating breakfast, and I just love Lulu. Oh my God, I love Lulu with all my heart. I love him. So Marvin tells Rock that they gave up the blocks for nothing, basically. Like, we did all of this shit and we still in deep shit. So she was like, you gonna pick up Kanan from school and bring him to the stash. She gonna post up there for a while because she just don't want him to be out on the streets, because she knows that these niggas is about to come pull up on my son and try to hurt him. Like, this shit ain't gonna go unanswered. So Lulu was like, speaking of the stash, it won't be long before Con Ed realizes we still in they power. So they up in a whole stash house using stolen electricity and shit. So Rock was like, we need a front. So Lulu tells them about a husband and wife duo that own a bodega, and how the wife put him on and said, that they looking for opportunities and that they're, Colombian or whatever. So Rocky like, I bet we gonna meet with them. So Marvin then gets to talking about throwing a party to let motherfuckers know that they still making moves. And Rocky and Lulu looking at this nigga like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, we over here talking about life and death, and you sitting up here talking about throwing a fucking party. And Rock says, I'm building businesses and you throwing parties. If that shit don't say it all, like, how do you think you gonna be able to run something, sir? And your mind is like in the gutter, literally. He was like, y'all still invited. So Davina is at the principal office crying. Kanan comes and checks on her and sit next to her. And he was like, I ain't seen you in a few days. And she was like, I had to watch my little sister because my mom couldn't. And at that point, I realized that her mama was on drugs. So Kanan says, I've been out too because I was sick or whatever, lying. And at this point, you really get to see how he ended up becoming who he was during the Power series, because you literally sitting next to somebody knowing you killed her nigga and trying to pretend like you didn't, like the coldness of it all. So he then's like, I'm sorry about Book. But you really aren't, but low key, you might be a little bit. So Davina was like, I know you two weren't friends, but he was a good guy, at least to me. She was like, I just think that it's fucked up for somebody to speak ill against somebody who just died. And right as she says that, her mama come barreling into the principal's office, all disheveled, just look drugged out, going off about, um uh motherfuckers wasting her time. And uh what else that lady say? Hold up, what's the lady say? Oh, about interrupting her time and how she ain't got no man to help her with her kids and this, that, and the third. And the principal was talking to Davina mama like they were sisters. She was like, whatever the mama name was, she was like, get in here so we can talk. I was like, well, goddamn, do y'all know each other? Like, cause you talked up pretty harsh. Or maybe she just done dealt with Davina mama on several occasions and she just know that she a crackhead that's on that foolishness. So she tell Davina and her mama to come in her office so they can talk. And she tell Kane to get back to class. So then we cut to Rock and my other boo thing, Neek, played by Joey Badass, at the cemetery. And I must say that both of their outfits was on point in this scene. Starting with Neek, I love their red leather bomber jacket, his chain, like, oh, Joey Badass is so fine. His chocolatey skin, that box, yes. And then you had Raquel and her crop puffer coat, her tight fit jeans, her belt, her over the knee boots. I was like, yes, ma'am, you better serve us body. I love the way they were styled in this scene. So Neek get out the car and he was like, I circle around this motherfucker to make sure you ain't setting me up. And Rock was like, you won't see me coming, Neek. That is a line that stuck out to me because I was like, when shit do get to that point between her and Neek, he won't see her coming. He literally is going to be so caught off guard by the shit when it happens, because they are going to finally clash. So he tells her that he can't stop Buck people from retaliating, that the streets need a body. And at that point, I was like, okay, so in order to protect her child, she about to fuck up somebody else's life. I just didn't know who at first. So Kanan feels like niggas is clocking him and watching him and it's bothering him, like he paranoid and shit. And 50 Cent in the voiceover was like, that's something that used to bother him, and it didn't bother him the older that he got. So as they walking out the cafeteria, Jukebox was like, how you feeling? And he was like, living. D Wiz cut in, he was like, he good because he know I was the one that put that nigga down. Kanan was like, you can have it because shit, you ain't doing nobody no favor talking about this shit out loud. And that was another line right there that predicted the conclusion of this episode when D Wiz said he good because he know I was the one that put that nigga down. Now remember when they both were shooting that Buck, D Wiz was like, who shot him? Did you shoot him? Did I shoot him? Like neither one of them knew which of their bullets was the one that actually fucked dude up or whatever. But you know, the way the episode ended up breaking down, like you wanted to be the one that, you know, had that body on you. Now you suffer the consequences for that, low key. D Wiz agreed with Kanan, like, yeah, I'm tripping. I don't need to be talking about this shit. So as they leaving out the cafeteria, they see Davina and her mama walking out with the principal, and Famous shouting like, Davina, like you can fight, like you did that, da 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 da. Da. And D Wiz said, you know, damn, like she fine and she can fight, like I'm on her. And Kanan just watching her as she's, you know, being escorted out of school. And it kind of shocked me that they didn't have Kanan's character feel any type of way about D Wiz saying that he was even gonna be on her. I don't know if it was a situation where they don't know that he likes her as much. I don't know, but uh, then we see Howard, played by Omar Epps, leave a coffee shop, get in the car with her, and talks to his partner Burke, who suggests that they go to speak to Buck's family because the captain said so. But he like ain't no point of doing that. We going to the tailor, and they then leave the donut shop or wherever they was at to go to this tailor or whatever. And at that point, all I could think about was if y'all don't hire Tristan Wilds, Mac Wilds, I need for somebody to give Tristan a job. I don't know why nobody is utilizing that young man, because his performance as Michael on The Wire is one of the best performances that have ever graced our television. And I need for somebody to give Tristan Wiles a role that he can sink his teeth in. Like we have not, I know he was on one of them cop shows a couple of years back or whatever. He's done little movies here and there. You know, he's been doing his music thing. But the only like series that he was on that was on television for a couple of years after The Wire was the 90210 reboot. And after seeing Anna Lynn McCoy, who plays the white girl publicist on this show, she used to play on the 90210 reboot on the CW. I was like, I need to see Tristan Wiles on television. Like that dude can act his ass off and he fine. Like low key, Kanan, Raising Kanan would be the perfect show for him because he still has that young looking face. Like he would kill it on this show. If whoever over there in the Power Universe watches my reviews, thank you. Thank me later. Thank me later. Hire Tristan Wiles to play a lead character, I mean a main character, a recurring character on this show. But anywho, so Marvin goes to the club and asks the bartender Symphony, is he hitting his sister? Like he coming to him all brolic, all tough and shit. And he was like, no. So Marvin was like, you damn right, because I'll fuck you up. And Symphony was like, I bet you won't. And the dude that plays Symphony, like he tried to seem like he was tough, but he just didn't have enough bass in his voice for me. So Marvin started cracking up and says that he's just playing and he wants to make sure his intentions are honorable. So Symphony was like, when it comes to your sister, you don't need to worry about my intentions. And I was like, well, okay. You executed that line a lot better. And I can't really wait to see where this whole thing gonna go with Rock and Symphony. I don't know if she gonna end up pulling him into the game, but I just feel like something bad is gonna end up happening to Symphony because of her lifestyle or whatever. Because he later on in this episode, we really got to see how smart of a dude he really is. Or low key, he might be one of them types that's so smart that he'll be a great assistance to her when it comes to the game. So Marvin then goes to the back to see Tony. Now, I still don't know if Tony is Anna Lynn McCoy's character name or what is her name. I'm just going to call her White Girl because I'm not sure what her name is on this show. So she in the back office is sampling some blow or whatever. He asked about throwing a party there, but she was like, nah, we're going to be busy. So she says, you know, like she just sitting there kind of like with a sad look on her face. And he was like, what's wrong with you? She was like, well, I am in mourning over my dog. And she was like, you know, I even might thought that, you know, your sister might have killed him. And he was like, nah, like, you know, my sister actually low key like you because, you know, you tough or whatever. And so she ended up letting him have the party at the club. So Detective Howard tells Burke to stay in the car while he goes inside to talk to Neek. Now I don't know if she knew Neek was on the inside or what. I can't remember, but he goes in and talk to Neek. Now when he goes into the tailor, he's uh Neek is in there getting his outfit and stuff tailored or whatever, and his crew is in there as well. So when Howard comes to the door, they all blocking him. He was like, I don't know if y'all don't know who the fuck I am, but y'all better move. Now I at first thought that Howard and Neek would be blood related. That's what I was assuming at first. But it's obvious they have some type of tie to each other. And I'll delve more into that in a second. What I really would have loved in this scene when Neek was in the tailor place getting his outfit tailored, if they would have had Dapper Dan there doing the tailoring or whatever, because you know that's what all the dope boys did in the 80s, early 90s. And even when Dapper Dan went underground after, you know, the whole court case and everything, he was still making garments and stuff for drug dealers and, you know, celebrities. So I would have really loved, they really would have paid homage to Dapper Dan and had him in that scene. But Howard goes, like I said, is Neek tells his men to move so Howard can come in. And Howard was like, Buck was one of yours. And Neek doesn't cop to it. You know, he was like, you know, I knew him, like we was cool. It's sad to see my dude go. So Howard was like, we can't have no more kids die. Neek was like, talk to your girl Rock about that. Like, I ain't got nothing to do with that. So Howard asked, can they step outside to talk alone? So they step outside. Howard sparked up a cigarette. Howard was like, we both know one of the worst things that happened to the South Side was Rock taking over for High Post. There's rules, and either she don't know about them or she don't give a fuck. Only one king can rule the kingdom, Neek, and I'm betting on you. Make sure there's no more bodies, and I'm gonna make sure you're sitting on the throne. So at this point, it's obvious, it's made clear that Howard's character is a dirty detective and he has ties to the street. So my thinking is that whatever crew Neek runs with, or Neek's older brother that used to run their whole crew, maybe Neek's older brother and Howard were cool. Maybe they was in the same gang, but one decided to go legit per se, and the other one was in the streets or whatever, so they had both ends tied up. But it's obvious that Howard got ties to Neek's crew. So Kanan and his crew is walking home from school, and Famous joking and was like, you know, we should go to the pizza place. Juke was like, I got shit to do, and he was like, look at Juke and all her top secret plans. And her guilty spirit make her start going off about not having no secrets, and maybe she just don't want to hang around them at all times, this, that, and the third, because you know she's gay and she's hiding it. So Kanan covers for her and was like, you know, she going downtown or whatever to make money for her demo. So they was like, oh, okay. So then Marvin swoops down to pick Kanan up, and he awkwardly asks his daughter, does she want to ride? And she was like, nah, I'm good. And it was like, I just can't wait to see more of the dynamic between Marvin and Jukebox, because their relationship is really awkward. And where is her mother? I want to know that too. So Rock and Lulu run into Famous and D Wiz outside of the bodega, and Lulu tells Famous to put in a good word for him and his sister, for put in a good word for him with his sister. And Famous was like, I don't even be seeing her like that because she be busy at school. And then he was like, don't she y'all live together? Lulu was like, "Don't y'all live together?" And Faye was like, you know, yeah, but you know, she lactose intolerant, so we don't even be having breakfast with each other like that." And at this point, Lulu realized that he trying to play him like he don't want him to fuck with her sister, with his sister. So Lulu, you know, was like, "Nigga, what the fuck?" Or start going off. And Rock was like, "You know what? Chill." So she was like, "How's your mother, Derek?" And D Wiz was like, you know, kind of nervous. My brother just got home from upstate. Truth is, I think she likes it better when he's locked up. So Rock and Lou look at each other like, oh, all right. And so they was like, all right, y'all stay up. So at this point, I was thinking that Rock and Lulu was going to try to set Derek's brother up to make it seem like he was the one that was behind Buck getting killed. That's what I thought at first. So Rock and Lulu head inside the bodega, and Lulu says to the chick behind the counter, he was like, Juliana, what's up, mommy? And so she kind of like scurry away. He looking like, what the fuck? Like, you the one came to me about doing business. And then we see homegirl got a fucking black eye. So her husband stepped out the back and was like, you know, who the fuck are you and why y'all talking to my wife? And so they tell them why they there. He was like, nah, my wife don't handle no business. I handle business. So uh Rock and Lulu head to the back to talk to the Colombian husband. And as they're walking to the back, Rock stared at the wife Juliana, like giving her the eye. Like you could tell you could tell that Rocky has a soft spot for women and just empowering other women. So you can tell she gonna put a battery in Juliana back. Watch what I tell you. And I think her and Juliana gonna end up being cool. Watch what I tell you. So where was I at? So Marvin takes Kanan to the stash house and he looking like, where the fuck are we at? Like, why the fuck you bring me here? So then we go back to the bodega and the husband tries to get a big percentage for allowing them to, stash their shit there. And he's talking to Lulu about it. And Lulu was like, shit, she run shit. I don't know why you talking to me. And you could tell he ain't really like that because dude got a problem with women being in power, obviously, because, he beating on his wife. So they end up coming up with an agreement for, his little percentage of how much he gonna get for stashing their little stuff there. So Marvin then leaves Kanan with Scrappy at the stash house. And he looking like, I don't want to sit in this nasty ass place. I wouldn't have wanted to sit up in there neither. I would have said, fuck this selling drug shit. I'm going back to school. So then we see Jukebox on the block with a whole bunch of people selling stolen goods and shit. And I'm like, oh, you gotta get how you live, girl. So then Kanan asks Rock when he gonna get a corner because playing video games with Scrappy ain't it. So this is later on that night. And Rock was like, you gotta crawl before you walk, homeboy. Like you done got one little body on you and you think that you Nino Brown or some shit. So then she mentions Derek's brother and asks did Derek get him the gun that he used to kill Buck with because she figures his brother must have had, gas stash at the crib. So I'm really thinking they're gonna go after the brother. So the next day, Rock tells Marvin that Kanan stays at the stash spot until further notice. Marvin says that the party gonna be popping that night, this, that, and the third, and Rock says to Lou, might be the time to get your Reggie Jackson on. And Reggie Jackson, I'm like, I know that name. So I Googled it, and sure enough, it was the baseball player. So I was like, oh, they gonna bring in like a bat or something for him to kill somebody? Like, that's what I was thinking, like he was gonna use a bat to kill whoever they was gonna, try to put this body on, which would have been a better idea to me if you're gonna use the code word Reggie Jackson, but okay. So Lulu looked like, are you fucking kidding me? Like he was spooked. And she was like, I don't like it no more than you do, but basically it gotta be done. So he get up because he pissed the fuck off. Like whatever she had him doing, he didn't want to do it. Marvin sitting there totally confused and was like, what y'all talking about? And I was like, Marvin, your ass is the worst. So then we go to later on that day. Kane is snooping around the stash house and finds a bolted door. And when he trying to get it open, Scrappy catches him and tells him to mind his business. And Kanan was like, you supposed to be teaching me. And dude was like, nigga, I am not your teacher. I'm your babysitter. Like, if you don't get somewhere and sit your dumb ass down. So obviously, that's where they stash and stuff was at, like the drugs and everything. So Jukebox and her little lesbian lover get into it because the little white girl tried to offer her to buy her a shirt, and Jukebox felt like she was trying to play her like she was some little poor, helpless black girl. They end up kissing outside in broad daylight, child. And I was like, I guess. So then Rock gets dressed up for the party that night. Well, that's where we thought she was going, or at least where she was trying to make her son think that she was going. And Kanan confronts her about placing him on ice at the stash spot. And she was like, your daddy did the same thing to me. You can't be a leader if you don't know how to fucking follow. So she suggests that night he have D Wiz come over and spend the night and watch New Jack City. And he kind of looking at her like, what you doing that for? Like, what's up? Like, you could tell he knew some shit was going down. He just didn't know what. So he was like, all right, I'll call him or whatever. So Lulu then pulls up on D Wiz as he's headed to Kanan's house. So Lulu was like, where you going? He was like, I'm about to head to Kanan crib, about to watch a VHS. And he was like, Kanan ain't gonna be there. We about to head to a party, get in. And so dude was kind of hesitant. And I don't know if he was hesitant because he know how Kanan family get down, but he was just like really unsure. But he gets in the car anyway. And then when he's getting in the car, we see Jukebox getting off the bus and peep him getting in the car with her uncle. And she even had this eerie look on her face like the fuck. Like even she was scared for him. So I'm like, what the fuck is going down? Like, do they all know that Lulu is a killer like that? Like, what the fuck? So Kanan is in the house waiting on D Wiz reading the paper when he see Davina walking her little sister down the street in a buggy. I mean not in a buggy, in a stroller. So he run outside to go talk to her, and he was like, she asked him what he was doing, and he was like, I'm waiting on D Wiz. So she was like, all right, and she was like, I've been hearing that you and your friends had beef with Buck, and he was like, don't listen to that. That shit ain't real or whatever. And I was like, shit between them ain't gonna never work out anyway because they starting off on a lie, so it's gonna end horribly anyway, especially when she finds out the truth, because she gonna end up finding out the truth at some point. So to me, Davina is going to end up being Kanan's Angela. Ugh. So, the club line is long. That motherfucker is packed. The white girl won't let Marvin friends get in. She let her little regular customers get in, a lot of white folks. And as he's going down the line to go rap to his people, some dudes tell him that, we want to be put on or whatever. He was looking like, all right, like, who the fuck are y'all niggas? So then inside the club, Lulu rapping to this chick, right? And D Wiz asks where Kanan is. He was like, oh shit, he on his way. And then next thing you know, we see Lulu pay the girl, to take D Wiz in the back and show him a good time. And D Wiz looking like, what the fuck is this shit about? But he ended up following the bitch anyway. So then we switched to Rocky on the balcony at Symphony crib talking, and he teaching her about the history of high rises, and they just vibing with one another, and their chemistry is just crazy. So in the bathroom stall back at the club, Wiz is fucking the chick, the prostitute, whoever she was. And you could tell this probably was his first time the way that he was acting, because he was acting like he was about to literally pass the fuck out and like his legs was about to give out at any moment. So outside the club, a white dude puts his hands on the white girl publicist, and Marvin punches him in the face and a fight breaks out, and Marvin up here fighting, some other dudes jump in, it's a whole melee. And as this is happening, Lulu and D Wiz walk out the club. And Lulu, like, this nigga here, like, he just keep it moving, like, he don't even fucking care. D Wiz was like, hey, yo, like, that's Marvin. Like, what the, like, we gotta go help. He was like, nah, that nigga got it. Like, let's go. So they bounce. So at home, Jukebox is at home singing in the bathroom mirror. And even in this scene, she had an eerie look on her face because she knows some shit is going down. She know that her uncle is up to some shit, like it just wasn't sitting right in her spirit. So she get to singing Whitney Houston, You Give Good Love to Me, which is a good song to sing. But if this supposed to be like the 90s, they could have had her singing some Mary J. Blige, You Remind Me, or some Jade or some Brownstones. I would have picked a different song, but it was cute for what it was. So, then we switched to Rocky at the crib with Symphony, and they kiss, and then she go to try to unbuckle his pants. He was like, I was thinking we take things a little slow. She was like, oh, okay, I agree. And then she unzips her little leather outfit and reveals her lingerie underneath and was like, fuck all that shit. Like, I don't give a fuck what you talking about. I want to see what that dick talking about. And I was like, you better put it on him, Rock. You better put it on him. So then we switch back to the club, and the cops come as Marvin is continuously fighting. Then we switch back to the crib, and Kanan is reading the paper, looking at Buck's memorial, and he's what is it, memoriam? I don't know what the fuck how you pronounce that shit, but anywho, he looking at it, he feeling bad about what the fuck his ass did. So then we switch back to the club, and Marvin getting locked up, and the white girl come rushing over to him and was like, no one has ever fought for me before. Now this part was cheesy and they could have kept it. This is what brought down the whole episode to me. Like I said, when the white girl rushed over him, Thompson, no one has ever fought for me before. And Marvin was like, ain't nobody gonna be disrespecting my girl. And then she kisses him like that. I was like, it was so unnecessary. It just didn't come off right. It came across cheesy for that part. So Marvin gets locked up. Back at the Symphony place, him and Rocky are fucking. Then we see Lulu and Wiz in the alleyway peeing, and Wiz is going on about how this was the best night of his life. Like, Kanan gonna be jealous. He missed out on everything. Like, he just like, whoa, like, oh my God. Because Lulu told him, you gonna have the best night of your life. And so with him being all excited and distracted, Lulu zips up his pants and he like, fuck, because he don't want to do this to this little boy. Like, he do not want to kill him, but he ain't got no motherfucking choice. It's like my nephew or this nigga. So then he pulls out his gun and points it at Derek's forehead. And dude was like, Luke. And then next thing you know, he shot him in the head and dude is dead. And Lulu, you could tell like he felt so bad, but he zipped that shit up real quick and kept it moving. And I was like, damn, they killed D Wiz. And they tried to use the whole thing of him coming over to watch a movie as an alibi, but Jukebox seen him get in the car with her uncle. So that shit is gonna end up blowing up in their face. Then, like I said, Kanan was already iffy about when his mama suggested he invite D Wiz to come over in the first place. So you can really see why Kanan's character ended up becoming who he became, because like his best friend was killed by his uncle. You know what I'm saying? Like his family went to extremes, so he then went to extremes to protect himself and the people that he actually cared about. Like there was no boundary set. Um, so it was like, damn, like his homie like dead now, like damn, fuck. And then somebody else pointed out too that in the comment section about how famous real name is Sean. And I was like, oh, because I didn't even pay attention to that part. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, so it's obvious that when he ended up having his son, he named his son after Sean, because at some point we're gonna see Sean, aka Famous, is going to end up getting killed. But remember, if I'm not mistaken, if somebody down below in the comment correct me if I'm wrong. But didn't before Kanan killed Sean, he was like, I don't even know if you my son anyway, or some shit like that. Or did he say that after he shot and killed him? Like, so I really can't wait to see how this whole thing gonna break down with the whole Sean situation. And we're gonna actually find out, was Sean his kid or not. But somebody down below in the comment section, let me know, did Kanan say that during the Power series after or before he killed Sean? I don't need everybody to tell me, just one or two people. Because everybody in the comment section end up telling me. Just one or two people. You will see if other people said it. I don't need everybody else to tell everybody to tell me. So, anywho, Kanan then calls Wiz house looking for him, but the mom was like, he ain't here. I thought he was at your house. So he really like, what the fuck is going on? Where is this nigga at? So he worried. So then we see Lulu in the car, like looking at Wiz's dead body in the alleyway, and then he speed the fuck off. Lulu then goes to a payphone and hits up Rocky and tells her it was a home run. Once again, I felt like, I know they talking in code, but I would have preferred if they would have used a bat to actually kill the dude or something. But I know you have to use a gun so it can be inconspicuous. But I don't know. I just would have used a different analogy or a code word instead of Reggie Jackson, but whatever. So then, like I said, the episode ends where it began with Kanan in bed looking at the glow in the dark stars, wondering where in the hell is this nigga and what the fuck is going on. Overall, I give tonight's episode of Raising Kanan, Raising Kanan. I give it a B plus. I give it a B plus. That little Disney-esque scene between Marvin and that white girl really brought down the whole morale for me. And I felt like they could have did a little bit of a tighter storyline with the whole killing of Wiz and trying to cover it up. I feel like they could have came up with a better cover up story for it, but this is the Power Universe. I mean, I don't really expect too much from them, but so far so good with Raising Kanan. Like I said, I give tonight's episode a B minus, B plus, whatever I see it. That's what it was. Anywho, thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to thumbs up this video, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell button. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.